I'm John Hindhaugh and welcome along to the Sebring Hall of Fame. I'm delighted to say it's my honour to be joined by three very special gentlemen, especially in an awful lot of ways, and not least in the fact that all three of them were here for the very first Sebring 12 Hours back in 1952. On my right, Gus Ehrman, and next to him, Dick Irish. On my left here is Otto Linton. And we thought we'd take this unique opportunity to talk to them about their experience of Sebring and how perhaps it's changed down these 60 glorious years. I'm going to start with you, Otto, if I may, because you have the distinction of being the oldest of our triumvirate here. Are the memories from that first event as clear now as the day that they happened to you? Did you realise you were getting in on the ground floor of something that was going to be so big?
Yes, they are. They are quite memorable because it was the first of the long distance race, and you just remember that kind.
And was it immediately obvious to you that this race had a future, if you like?
Absolutely, yes.
And what was it about it? What caught people's imagination?
Well, most of all, for most of us from the East Coast, that was the first race, and that gave you a good start for the season. And besides that, you really have activity that you need and get used to racing for the new season. And the event went over very good. It was still quite simple. Our timing was with stopwatches, and they were sitting at the beginning of the back stretch, if you want to call it, the starting stretch. But it all went off fine, and we all figured there's a future to it, and we all knew it was going to get better.
And if I can move to you, Dick, for a moment, because that simplicity, spectators today probably wouldn't recognise the track as it was then. You were the third in overall in 52 and won your class, of course. Describe to me what it was like driving around in those days. What would you have seen?
Nothing like today. In fact, at night there was total darkness. The odd campfire of a camper here or there, but nothing. This is a metropolitan area compared to that. And I think that the way this place has grown and the fantastic facility that Mr. Panos has got here is just unbelievable.
The track looked very different, but it would have driven very differently as well.
Yes, I say speeded the circuit up. The first turn took you off the airport area down. This was an old military base in World War II, and you went toward the flagpole, drove around the flagpole, and then that road went down and a long arc, and it was an actual sharp corner. Then the road went down Warehouse Straight, stopped, dead-ended, and jogged over 50 feet or so and started again. And now all those corners have been eased. So it makes the cars much faster.
Now the guys are on the right-hand pedal, the gas,
yeah,
a lot more than you would have been as well.
That's probably true. First of all, these cars stopped so much quicker than ours did. When I was here in 56 with the Corvettes, the longest you were off the brakes were 30 seconds. And which meant that you just cooked the brakes. Well, and of course now the disc brakes they've got are just phenomenal. People at night will see them glowing bright red. So it's a lot of difference.
And Gus, you are clearly very well associated with the MG car brand and have been throughout your career. What was it about this race that you think it interested the international brands and the people from Europe? Because quite clearly there was a very, very well established European endurance scene at that time.
Well, I think Otto touched on it. The whole thing was so much more informal in those days. We didn't have real pits. You set up house, you had a folding table, and that was it. We filled the cars with gas tanks, none of these fancy refueling machinery. I don't know quite how they controlled the spectators in those days, but everything was terribly loose as compared to today. Dick touched on the fact that the track is much faster today. This warehouse turn straight and jig-jag out of it, they've now taken out of the track. It used to be a 5.6 mile race. It's now down to 3.7. So not only are the cars twice as fast, but the track is faster too.
Is it possible, Gus, to even combine what we see now with what we would have seen in those days and compare it in any meaningful way? Or is it almost, in fact, like two different worlds now? In those 60 years, things have moved, pardon the pun, but have moved so quickly.
Well, even the Dunlop Bridge isn't the Dunlop Bridge anymore. So things have changed completely, absolutely completely. They didn't have these sort of crowds, which immediately helped, of course, to reduce the policing and discipline they have around here today. I mean, you can barely move without having this sticker or that sticker, and so on and so forth. The people today are absolutely incredible as far as the crowds are concerned.
But it was a World Championship then, of course, and it's back in the World Championship now, and that must be a source of some pride to people like yourself, Stick, looking back over the years.
Yeah,
oh, absolutely.
Because, you know, the thing that I think impressed all of us was, wow, not only were we here, but here were the European teams.
Mm-hmm.
That was wow, you know, to see Aston Martin, to see these people, you realize there really is something growing here. And the fact that people showed up, in fact, it just, you saw somebody and they loved the cars, they loved the competition, they were immediately accepted. And there was a brotherhood that went all beyond commercialism. And also with that brotherhood was a respect. So the spectator wasn't going to mess with your car, he wasn't going to get in your way. I'm afraid that part's probably gone. That's why we have all these badges, stickers, and whatever. But times have changed.
And Otto, that sense of camaraderie, whether you were driving a privateer-entered car, whether it was one of the works teams, that was something very special here. And the chance for all you guys from this side of the ocean to race against the Europeans and pit yourself against the World Championship contenders, was that something that drew you to this event?
Not really. Actually, when we started in '52, it was just camaraderie, because we started in '48 at Watkins Glen, and we all knew each other. Like Alec Ullman, I knew that's what he was dreaming of, and I knew the way he operated. I knew he was going to be successful. He would be successful, but you could actually, if you needed something, go to your competitor and borrow it if you need it. You can't do that anymore. No. But my last race here was '64, and it was an entirely different organization already.
Even in that short time?
Yes.
Did you have the best of it, do you think?
Well, I learned to operate on the level that the organization was. And it improved tremendously every year. And it really wound up to what you have today, but it was a big step. It just kept going and going, getting better, getting bigger. But I was terribly surprised when I got back here now, after, well, '64 is the last time I was here.
So you haven't been here since '64. Do you even recognize the place?
Yeah, well, not really. Not really.
I think the atmosphere is something that has endured from those early days, though, Dick, to be honest. And you being involved with Corvette, American sports car, as it always has been. We see the Velocity yellow cars are still here. There's part of that still has that attraction for everybody, be it a spectator, a works team, or a privateer.
Right, because there's, although, as everyone said, there's been such camaraderie, there's still a national pride. And so you have teams, the Peugeot want to beat Audi, whatever, more than just the manufacturer. There's that national pride there. And the Corvettes have carried the flag for a long time.
some of the other things that haven't changed is the pavement itself in certain parts of the circuit. It's exactly the same that you put your wheels on back in 1952.
Right, and not a bit smoother.
I'll finish with you, because if I may, when you look at the paddock now and you see the standard of preparation, the technology that's going into the cars, and clearly the cars that you drove in their day were right at the cutting edge of technology, would you swap coming in those MGs in those days for driving the Aston Martin now, or the Audi, or, as I said to Otto, do you think you guys had the best of it back then?
Well, let's face facts. Historically, personally, I'm a little bit past it. I'd love to have done it.
Yes.
You know, the fastest thing I drove here was the Healy S.
Yes. Beautiful car.
And that was quick enough. We had 6 cars entered, which I think explains what you're asking. Sterling Moss drove one of them. I've forgotten who the other people were. Cooper drove one. I drove one. Anyway, I'd been to the factory just before Sebring to make sure all the cars were ready. They were all identical cars. They were all built at Abington. They were all the lightweight bodies. The cars are identical. We get down here, and Sterling is 7 seconds a lap faster than I am. I went to see Healy, and I said, did they fiddle with the car? He said, no, he drives once a week, you drive once a month. And there's the answer.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for joining us and sharing some of your memories of Sebring over the past 60 years. And I hope that in 60 years' time, somebody else will be sitting here doing a similar thing, because this is a tradition that needs not to go away. Glorious 60th anniversary of Sebring and the Mobile 1 12 Hours.